The Panorama Bandana begins with an I-cord cast on and a provisional edge. So what I'm going to do is put a slip knot on my crochet hook, and then with my knitting needle in front of the yarn, I'm going to work some chains, trapping that yarn over my knitting needle. So my yarn is behind the knitting needle. I'm going to chain a stitch and bring my yarn back behind the needle and chain a stitch. So here I've made 3 cast on stitches for the cowl. I'm then going to just chain a couple stitches so that I know which side to pull my provisional cast on out from later. I'm going to cut the yarn and fasten off. The next step is to attach the working yarn that you plan to make your panorama bandana out of, and begin working an I-cord for 6 rows. So I'm going to attach the yarn just by knitting into those 3 stitches, and I've worked the first 3 stitches for the I-cord. Then I slide the stitches to the opposite end of the needle, and I'm going to begin my second row of I-cord. So I always begin knitting with stitch number 1. 1, 2, 3, and then slide those stitches all the way to the other end of the needle, so that when you start knitting again, you're knitting stitch 1, 2, 3. So this is my 3rd row of I-cord. Again, slide the stitches all the way down. Fourth row of I-cord. Alternately, if you're working with straight needles here, you can slip these stitches right back over, if that's a little easier, or if you're using straight needles. Certainly went a little quicker, a little less noisy. So I have my 5th row completed. I'm sliding these stitches back over, and now I will work my 6th row of I-cord here. So I have this little tab of I-cord at the bottom. My next step is going to be to pick up 3 stitches along here, along the side of the I-cord. So I'm going to skip over the row that the stitch is coming out of. So in this case, it's that little pink stitch. I'm going to insert my needle into the very next yellow stitch, just under one little rung of it, and grab 1. So I insert my needle into the next stitch, wrap my yarn around the needle and bring it through. That's my 2nd stitch. And then into the 3rd stitch, wrap my yarn, bring it through. I now have picked up 3. The final step here is to remove the provisional cast on. So here I'm undoing from that spot where I had the little bit of extra chaining. This helps come right out. And I'm going to get those stitches onto the needle too. So I want to make sure I have 1, 2, and then the 3rd stitch is right at the end. Let's see, I haven't grabbed that one yet. I'm going to undo the provisional cast on. 1, 2, there's number 3. And then I can remove the provisional cast on. After you've gotten those 3 stitches from the provisional back on the needle, you're going to knit across those 3. That one's a little split, so let me fix that. There we go. You're going to knit across those 3 stitches, and you now have 9 stitches on your needle, and you're ready to begin with setup row 1. Happy knitting!